What's shaking, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Cocteau Twins, as well as a very tired Luca. And we're back for the final tune of the Aikea-Guinea EP 1985, and that is Rococo. So this is a term I am familiar with, although I'm not an art historian or a culture historian necessarily, more a cultural anthropology-based historian, and mostly for North America. I am familiar with the term as the label for an artistic and especially architectural movement that I think is seen as the final phase of the Baroque period. I think it's known for large, asymmetrical in some cases, but very ornamented and detailed flourishes in, again, architecture, but also art more broadly, and I suppose is thus a transition to what is called the classical period, certainly in music. And yeah, I wonder whether this is, in fact, a concept being invoked. It could, of course, just be a word which has a nice phonetic sound to it, and alliterative sound for that matter, and thus fodder for Elizabeth's incredible vocals, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is some connection. It feels like a very specific word to use, although I suppose there was a word for a bird and some other terms or names that the connection between the semantics and the lyrics or indeed vocals in the song is at best, debatable, discussable, and perhaps opaque. So yeah, I don't know if it'll have any direct connection, but with a name like Rococo, I feel like one must at least mention the possibility and the, as I said, artistic form / movement / architectural style. In any case, let's give it a listen. This is Cocteau Twins, the track is Rococo, and it's the final track on the 1985 Aikea-Guinea EP. Something about that little guitar riff is familiar. The bass. rapid finish there. Very quick fade out. So yes, an instrumental, so forget anything I said about potential lyrics or even vocals. But yeah, it had a lot of energy and it was a bit more rocking, for lack of a better word, than some of their other tunes. Definitely a heavy guitar sound at the middle section of the tune. That opening riff, which was a lot lower and deeper, that for some reason, it just struck me as familiar. So I don't know whether I've heard that like sampled in something else or maybe just a riff that had a similar sound to it. But yeah, there was something about the opening part of the tune that struck some distant chord, but I couldn't place it. But yeah, obviously, no lyrics to talk about per se, which of course is not entirely different from Cocteau Twins songs where there are vocals. But I suppose there were parts of it that maybe felt like there was the grandeur and ostentation of Rococo architecture or artistic stylings, but the connection there is surely subjective and interpretive based on what I was thinking about in advance, which, I've talked about this in relation to trance and techno and some of the electronic genres I listen to. Sometimes they may have a sample, but one thing I do like about electronic tracks, a lot of them, and you could say the same about classical music, is the possibilities for interpretation and subjective visualization are more open. They're more subject to what is in the brain of the listener. And of course, operatic music and some classical music and indeed some electronic music, there might be a particular motif that is being suggested by vocals in an operatic aria, for example, or a sample in a trance track. But generally speaking, there's a lot of melody that doesn't have any vocal accompaniment, and your brain is more free to take that where you will. So, given what I was thinking about in advance, that's where my brain went. But of course, the whole track wasn't like that. The opening and the way the end just sort of precipitated off the side of a cliff and went quiet, that felt different. It felt like the subtle beginnings of something and then the rapid and maybe even unexpected ending. So yeah, ultimately I imagine the sonics of this one and their potential meaning on a deeper level are up for discussion and debate. But yeah, that's what my brain did with it. I do enjoy, as I said, the slightly more intense sound of some of the sonics, including the guitar in this one, relative to some of their other tracks. Not in a dark, wicked, incantation in the forest type of way as with tracks from Garland's, but also not quite some of the ethereal, dreamy sort of sounds that we've heard after that. So yeah, just an interesting one, perhaps slightly anomalous track in their catalog as I've heard it and understood it up to this point. Luca, you won't like this because you look incredibly comfortable right now and you're going to snag on that, but I'll try to put you down here. Do let me know what you think, and we will see you next time. Peace.